Hi, so I'm just going to give some feedback on the last assignment you guys gave in. Thanks to everyone who handed it in. I want to give a shout out to Khalid. Hey Khalid, this is actually from his assignment, and he did take the lesson about making notes and writing down your ideas as you're reading, and I really like how he did that. Now, I didn't ask you to do that on your Google Doc, so it's okay if you didn't do it, but I wanted to point out that I really like that he wrote his questions in red. He had questions like, if the sensor is underwater, how is it working? Which is a really good question because we can see these wires and we're kind of thinking, how are the wires working if they run on electricity if it's underwater? That was a good question. Also, he asked, is there any sensors outside of Canada? And I really thought this was a high thinking question, higher order thinking question, because he's not just reading the article and then just like, okay, that's happening in British Columbia. Great. He's applying what he's learning and he's saying, hey, if this happens in British Columbia, what about other parts of the world where we know earthquakes happen? Do they use these sensors? And that's the kind of thinking that as we go through the course is going to not only improve your mark, but the kind of thinking that just makes you a better learner. So thanks, Khalid, that was awesome. Most students wrote their comments on the template, which is great. That was totally fine. So if you wrote a really good question, I usually left a comment on your assignment telling you I thought it was a really good question. It was okay if you copied the questions I did as the example lesson. You didn't lose any marks because this was a practice to see if you could do it. So one thing I do want to point out is that a lot of people on the last question gave me a very simple answer. So I asked, why is this information about the warning system important? Because that was what the article was about, that British Columbia is installing a new system that gives people about 20 seconds to about 2 minutes of warning before they feel the damage of an earthquake, right? So when we look at this article, we want to really focus on the whole, how do we use those 90 seconds or those 20 seconds, right? We talked about that. So when you say, why is this news important? Yes, it's important because we're warning people that an earthquake is going to be, you're going to be feeling an earthquake soon. But is that really enough information for us to understand why this new system is so important? So I suggest here in the comments, what if you told us 2 specific details from the article that talk about how you can use the time of having just seconds, right? When you give me a specific thought like that here, it's going to really explain more why the news is important, okay? So if I left you a comment on your Google Doc, read the comment carefully, and anything that has a question mark usually means that I want you to respond back to me. Okay, it means I've asked you a question and I can't be with you in class right now. So what you would do is if you want to respond back to my question, you're going to type your answer in the reply box here. Okay, once you finish typing in, so Miss, the article says, and you can tell me what are 2 specific things that they can do in those seconds. You reply to me, and then once you're finished, you can hand back your assignment into the Google Classroom and all of your comments get saved. If you accidentally delete the comment by hitting delete or resolve, I will not see your answer. Okay, so don't hit resolve or delete until you hand back your work so I can see your answers to my questions. Okay, so anyway, that's part of today's work, is to go over my comments and answer any questions I left you. Okay, and the other task for today is you're going to be doing a quick little quiz based on a diagram. The diagram was inspired by some of your questions because a lot of you asked great questions. And so we're going to look at the diagram and see if you can figure out the answer from the diagram. It's a simple picture. It's pretty clear. If you would like some practice before that, I do have a video taking up the test that you did in class. So if you'd like to see the diagram that was your in-class test, you can watch that video, look at your mark that you received back, which should have been sent back to you by email, okay? And then after that is a warm-up to remind you, how do we read a map or a visual that I've never seen before? Then you can go to that little quiz and try to apply those skills that we've learned in class, that have been reviewed again, and see if you can do the little quiz. Okay? A reminder, when I do quizzes, any mark that you do that helps you, I'm going to count. Any mark that, you didn't do as well in the quiz, maybe your computer crashed or something while you're doing it, it will not count against you. Okay? I'm here to support you, and I don't want you to worry about it. But not doing it is kind of silly because you can only make your mark go up if you do those type of quizzes for me. Okay? Thanks so much, and look forward to seeing your work.